Hello, afternoon.
Hey Mandela, how you doing?
How are you?
All good, all good. I'm letting everyone in, so please turn on your camera. Make sure you mute your mic.
Okay, I'll do that.
Everyone, hi everyone, how you guys doing? I'm giving everyone some time to join. But yeah, tonight we have a really special guest. I'm gonna start speaking in English. I ask you guys, please get your turn your camera, make sure you're muted, because we want to make this as efficient and we use the time wisely because we have a special guest today and we want him to be able to tell us as much as possible in a very short amount of time. So please, the structure will be we're gonna have an introduction for him. I'm gonna have some questions prepared, and then Federico will be conducting with Ramses some of your questions, the ones that you guys ask. We filtered those. We have some of the most interesting questions for Brandon. So not everyone is gonna get to speak, but if your question was selected, you will be able to ask Brandon yourself. So yeah, Federico, please put your camera. There you go. So yeah, please tell everyone a little bit about who Brandon is and how you met him.
Of course. Thank you, Seba. Is Brandon here? I don't see him.
I just got in. Hello, hello, hello.
Oh,
Oh,
my
oh,
man.
there we go.
How you
Sungu.
doing?
What's up, brother? Well, Brandon, first of all, man, thank you for your time. I think you have a lot of new faces you haven't seen. We are um we have kids here from Valentino, who is 11 or 12. We have new guys from Sosua, from Cabarete, from Punta Cana. So now you're seeing a new gang of some players like Diego, Lorenzo that are already in college, but we have from sophomores in college to seventh and eighth graders. So always grateful, man, for you to take the time to get to know and positively influence all these young ballers, man. So just to give you guys a little bit of insight, I met Brandon my third year of college when I joined the student organization. I pitched an idea of doing a clothing drive, a soccer clothing drive, and he was there and he raised his hand and came up to me and said, "Hey, I want to help." And that's how Aspira started. And it's been, I think, more than anything, just a great relationship, a great friend before anything we do. And he's always been very, very open to help you guys. So I hope you make the best out of it. And again, Brandon is somebody that I truly admire because of what he's done. I met him before the whole MLS. I met him before he was 8 years into the MLS. And I can tell you he's a 10 out of 10 of a person in every sense. So if there's one role model I hope you guys can make good use of is him. So that's it from my end. Seba will be leading the conversation as he said, and nothing. Thank you, Brandon, again, and hope you guys all enjoy it.
How you doing, Brandon?
Good, I'm good. I can give a little background about, who I am, if that makes sense, before we
Of
get
course.
started.
Yeah, that was the first question. I was just gonna let you introduce yourself. Some of these kids you have met them before, but as Federico said, there are some new faces. So yeah, please tell us who you are, man.
Awesome. Seba, well, thank you for having me, Fedi, as well. Longtime friends. Yeah, for however many years. I can't even remember how many. So it's been a long time. I've known these guys for a very long time. Good humans, good people. No, it's awesome. Yeah, to give a little background about who I am. Brandon By grew up in Michigan, grew up at West, in Southwest Michigan, in Kalamazoo, and growing up playing different sports from when I was, six on. Soccer was one of them, basketball, baseball, football, and just enjoying sports, enjoying the team camaraderie of team sports. Growing up. from there, basically, went to Western Michigan on a soccer scholarship. Lucky enough to get recruited and play. And from there, basically, my 4 years at Western Michigan was at the business college, learning and growing and playing as well as studying and understanding what it is to be a college student from 2014 to 2018. In 2018, I was lucky enough to
Sorry about that.
no worries. 2018, I was lucky enough to get drafted to the New England Revolution. And 2018 till now, I've been on the team. I'm in my eighth season, and yeah, really enjoying myself, enjoying professional soccer. But it wasn't necessarily a thing that when I was a college student, when I was a high school student, when I was a middle schooler, this is not something that I ever dreamed of. Of course, I dreamed of it, but I maybe didn't think it was, completely possible. But, kept growing and playing, and this is where I am today.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for sharing your journey. And that was one of the first questions that I had for you. Basically, you went from the process of getting recruited in college to then being drafted for the MLS. But when was that moment where everything clicked that you actually realized that you were able to make it? You realized like, oh, well, this might be a chance that I might get recruited. When was that moment and how it happened?
Um, I think I had that moment a couple different times, but the main big moment was maybe my junior season of college. All of a sudden, I was a freshman playing a little bit here and there, and then I had a foot injury, so I didn't play a lot during that season. My sophomore year, I was basically starting every game with a bunch of juniors and seniors. And so, I kind of understood that, like, okay, yeah, I'm doing well because I'm starting and playing as a sophomore with, all these upperclassmen. And then my junior year, when all those upperclassmen basically graduated, and then I was now looked upon to be the guy almost, and to lead the team. And I think from there, I understood that, okay, I need to do this, and this is the next step in the evolution of my game. And then that during that season, and I guess after that season, I had the realization of, okay, yeah, I had a good season, and I think I had, 8 goals and 5 assists or something like that. And our team did pretty well. And it was like, okay, I can compete and I can be, some of these older guys that I was, challenging with and fighting against in years past, where all of a sudden graduated and moved on. And all of a sudden now I was the one that was dominating a little more. And I realized that, like, okay, maybe I can do this past the collegiate level and into the professional level.
Awesome, awesome. And well, as you can imagine, there are ups and downs in this journey. And you recently had an injury, right? And I want you to tell us how you approach it. First of all, tell us what type of injury it was, and then how you got back up from that setback. I don't know if you have had other injuries before, but I know that some of our boys are currently going through injuries, or they got to college and they pulled their hammy and they have some muscular injuries. So how do you approach those moments? I know it's hard, but how do you maintain a good mentality, a good mindset? How do you maintain yourself strong and don't go into that spiral of negative thoughts? You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I mean, I think over my college slash professional career, I've had every type of injury. I've, broke a bone in my foot. I've, dislocated a shoulder. I've, had hamstring strains, quad strains, calf strains, all these things. Um, and then, 2023, I did my ACL and meniscus, during a game in the summer of, 2023. So that was a tough road to get back from. that wasn't a when I was told, I honestly, when it happened, I was like, oh, my knee hurts. I got, I have an injury, but like, it's probably, a couple months at the most, and I'll be back. And then all of a sudden, I was told that it was my ACL, and it was going to be, a 10 to 12 month process. And I was like, oh, here we go. Um, so yeah, that was my first time experiencing a long-term injury like that. Um, but yeah, I think, it took 11 months to get back, and however hundreds of hours of PT, and being on my own, training on my own, lifting in the weight room, getting stronger, and just watching everybody else play while you sit on the bench and sit on the sideline and sit in the suite and watch the game move on without you. So a very tough thing to do, but I think it made me stronger, and it made me understand that, like, yeah, this game is something I really like to do and really enjoy, and also that it comes and goes, and there's this someday that, like, you won't play anymore, and so that really gave me some insight into that, and to try to just enjoy every moment, every practice, every second of it all. So I would say trying to enjoy things outside of soccer was a big thing for me, because so much of my life consisted of the game, of training, of travel, all that. And so I think, finding outside things that, I really enjoy, like, for instance, hanging out with friends and golfing and doing, different activities outside of soccer, really, took me outside of the game and let me focus on something else. But then, enjoying the grind of, okay, guess what? Like, my next, when I get the injury, and I had, 2 months of surgery and getting back, and then all of a sudden it was basically 8 or 9 months of just straight, like, rehab every day. It was like, okay, this is my life now, this is my grind, and, like, let's go full force, and, like, understanding that, yeah, every week, guess what? There's going to be a new goal, but, like, there's the finish line is way, way, way down the road. I think that was a tough thing to understand at first, but, like, once I understood that, and once I wrapped my mind around the fact that, like, yeah, it's going to take some time, but this is life. I think I started to enjoy the grind a little more.
Yeah, there was a phrase that you said last time that you were here in our class. You said get in love with the struggle. I remember that. And
Mhm.
that's basically what some of us, that we come from a place where, there's not a lot of competition. We tend to think that we're very good, but once you face reality, you face adversity, and you face all this, man, it teaches you so many things. So, Fede, you have your hand up.
I wanted to ask you, I know the answer, but I think it's something important that I noticed once we started talking when you got injured. Obviously, you told me that you had to get used to driving from your house to the stadium and back every day, basically, and not being in the routine of traveling and, game day and stuff. And I know you picked up a lot in reading and you read, we talked a lot more about books, obviously having more time. What was how did books and just personal development help you during that stage?
Yeah, I think with not being able to, focus on a game on the weekend, me not having a Saturday to look at, like, okay, I have a game this weekend. I have to worry about, Chicago, and who I'm going to play against and stuff like that. I think all of a sudden, then that gave my mind some more time to open up about, okay, yeah, I don't have this just sitting on my mind. So let me do something else. Let me focus on something else. And yeah, I think I turned to reading, and read some good books. And I think, you shared Fetty, she shared, quite a few with me, that I enjoyed, but, some for fun, some for leisure, some for, personal development. But yeah, I think a lot of those were things to either A, take my mind off of what's going on in my life, and then the second was to help me, combat the negative thoughts, or the struggle, and things like that.
Yeah, and adding to that as well, Federico once shared your CV with me, and he mentioned that you did two internships at Kellogg's, right? Before you graduated from college. How did that help you? And thinking outside of soccer, how those internships and those experiences help you to get where you are at the moment?
Yeah, I think yeah, I did those two internships with Kellogg's, and that was basically my summer break. The summer break of like, okay, like, soccer, the spring season's over. You're gonna have 3 months of summer, and then you're gonna have to, go back and grind in the fall season. And it was like, some guys were, oh, I'm going to take vacations with my family, or I'm going to, just play soccer, full time at this team. And I was like, I have a chance to, A, make some money, B, put something on my resume that's really good and potentially get me a job down the road. And C, like, potentially, I was in, Minneapolis for a summer. So like, a chance to see a new city and understand, what life is like, somewhere else other than, Kalamazoo, where I was born and raised. So I think all those three things outside of the work aspect of it, really gave me the chance to understand what life is like, outside of the soccer world. And I think I got some of those experience that even to this day, like I talked to some of the guys on my team that did the college route and American guys that they didn't have that chance, that opportunity to see what that's like. And I think with every experience, whether it's getting injured, whether it's doing an internship, whether it's reading books, I think it all adds to your experience, and these things, shape you and mold you. And so I thought that was a cool experience for me.
Yeah, and you also play for a semi-pro team while you were doing that internship, right? You played
Yep.
Minneapolis Cross.
Yeah, Minneapolis SC. Yeah, yeah, and that was a fun experience because basically I had to do all the research. I had to reach out to them on Twitter. I was like, hey, can I come play with you guys? And they were like, yeah, come for a tryout and whatever. And I tried out a couple days, and they were like, yep, we like you. Like, come play for us. And so that was cool. That was an experience in itself. But also I got during that summer was I was working 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, and then after work I found a turf soccer field, and I took my bag of balls out there with 3 or 4 soccer balls, and I did my cone drills and cone work and conditioning and stuff like that. And I think some of that work that I did that summer on my own without anybody telling me, hey, you need to it's practice time, come practice, or hey, I got a couple buddies, let's go play pickup. Like it was fully on my own. It was like if I wanted to go work out, I wouldn't work out. If I didn't want to work out, sat on my couch and chilled and played video games or went to the bar and drank beer or whatever. Like it was fully up to me. Um, and I think I learned a lot about myself, and I'm able to push myself and to understand that, like, yeah, I was preparing for my senior year of college soccer season that like was going to make or break the fact that I was going to go professional or not. And so that was a big summer for me, and I think I took that time to really improve myself, my fitness, my technical ability, all these things.
Awesome. And there's a few things to highlight in that story. The first one was that you went there for an internship and you were able to find, the soccer after it. Then you had to basically look for that opportunity. You had to reach out for the team through Twitter, which is, if you don't knock on the door, nobody's gonna answer, right? So
Absolutely.
that's something that I also encourage the boys to do a lot, to reach out to find those opportunities, because they're not gonna come chase you. Then, and that's one of the other key points to highlight. And then the last one is that you were during the summer working 9 to 5, but you still found some time to be able to practice on your own, to get that, get those touches in when nobody was watching, when everybody was resting. So I think that's something that people don't talk, don't mention often, is that workout, that those drills that you do on your own when nobody's watching, those are the ones that really set you apart, right? and there's just only a few people that are willing to do it when nobody's watching. So yeah, I think those were the questions that I have for you. We did a questionnaire for the boys to ask you some questions because they're very eager to ask you some of these questions. So Ramses is gonna filter them, and then he's gonna let whoever made the question, do the question. So yeah, Ramses, if you have any of those questions, please shoot.
Yeah, I just unmuted myself. First of all, Brandon, thank you for taking the time to join us. These kind of conversations are incredibly valuable for all of us. So I hope those who register for the sports leadership class are ready to make those questions. I'm just gonna say the names, and I hope you, Sebastian, to leave them the the mic open so they can speak. Okay. I'm gonna call Victor Dizzy. I think Victor is right there, right?
Yeah, Victor,
Yes.
please shoot your question.
Victor's ready. Love it.
Hi,
Yes.
Brandon. What advice could you give me to become a good leader on and off the pitch, the field?
Yeah. Victor, I love the question. I think a good leader is, someone, for me, my leadership technique was always to to lead by example, to show up every day and to work hard and to understand that like sometimes, you don't have to be the loudest person in the room, but someone that someone that, shows up every day and leads by what they do and how they act. And I think that's really important. And sometimes, everybody gets frustrated or everybody gets, mad at the situation or whatever, but being able to voice your opinion, but also to listen to opinions, I think is really important. Understanding, how people are feeling in each moment and listening maybe more than you talk. I think is a big deal when it comes to leadership.
Great. Gianmarco, are you there?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So, good night, Brandon. My name is Gianmarco Morales. I'm a 16 years old senior, and my question is, what habits or routines have helped you stay consistent at the pro level? Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, some of these habits and things on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis are almost laid out for us, which make it really easy to follow. But I think for me, just going from basically, what my day-to-day looks like, waking up, having a solid breakfast, and then, spending some time in the gym before training and working on, a few things. Obviously, I had the knee injury, so I'm working on some, week to week rehab things for the knee. Uh, Foam rolling, stretching, getting the body ready to go because I'm not one of the youngest guys on the team anymore, and my body needs a little more to get myself prepared for the day. Some of those things in the morning before training, and then in the after training, it's the lifting stuff. It's the upper body once a week, lower body, upper body's on Tuesday, lower body's on Wednesday, and then usually maybe there's a sprinkled in optional upper body again on Thursday, and then preparing myself with massages and foam rolls at night, stretching, doing different yoga work in the evenings, things like that. I wouldn't say that they're necessarily daily habits, but they're weekly habits that I can check off every week and say, okay, I did a couple of these YouTube yoga classes, and I did my foam rolling and stretching before training every day, and I did my knee rehab routines before training, and I did my ankle mobility stuff because I've had ankle problems, and I think all those things add up over time, and continue to eat healthy and understand that mm, it's really important what you put in your body, from a week to week basis too. I think all those things, contribute to longevity in the league.
Nice.
Great,
I
thank
don't
you.
know. I don't know if Enrique Linares is there, but he had a couple of questions. But the second one
Hi.
he
Yeah,
wrote
I'm here.
is a really good one. So go ahead.
Yeah, hi, Brandon. It's a pleasure to be here with you in this meeting. And I have 2 questions. The first one is, what is the best advice a mental advice you got from a coach? And the second one, it's a new one that I am thinking. It is, what is the hardest part of being a professional that the normal people don't see?
Yeah, the first question, the best advice that a coach has ever gave me. My my rookie, he was only my coach for my first 2 years, Brad Friedel. But he said, don't ever get too high and don't ever get too low. Basically meaning, um, the highs aren't as high as they seem, and the lows aren't as low as they seem. So, if you just scored a goal and you had the game winner and you're feeling really good about yourself, level it back down, bring it back down to neutral. And if you're really struggling and, you didn't play well and you feel like, oh, I was the worst guy on the team, or I struggled today and I'm the reason why we lost. The lows aren't as always, as you see them. So I think always, being in that even point, mentally ready and brushing off the past and moving on to the future. I think that's really important. And then ask your second question again.
The second question is, what is the hardest part to being a professional that the other people don't see?
Yeah, I think I would say the sacrifices that we have to have. Everybody sees, Saturday night, you're playing games and you're on the field and you're 90 minutes, but people don't see the struggle of how you feel when you wake up Sunday morning and you're struggling and you're sore. Or people don't see, Tuesday, the hard practice that we had, and then we have to lift, and you're so tired you just want to go home and take a nap. And so people don't see a lot. And then okay, yeah, we're playing in Vancouver this weekend and we have to take a 5.5 hour flight, um and yeah, we have to get ready, and the time zone is 3 hours different, and we have to get ready for the game, and nobody cares about that. All they see is 7:45 p.m. on Saturday night. They see you playing. They're like, oh, he lives the best life. He gets to play soccer. It's like there's a lot of struggles that go into it. Obviously, I'm blessed that I do it, and I never say like, there's a lot harder jobs out there. There's people that are really struggling and have a tough life. So like I'm never saying that it's woe is me, but there's a lot of things that go into it that a lot of people don't see.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, Diego Rey has also a question. Diego.
Hi, Brandon. My question is, okay, what is challenging to make the jump from college to playing professionally in the MLS?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge for me is I think it's the same challenge that you get from jumping from middle school to high school, or from high school to college, or from college to pros. I think every level that you jump, that you move up to, all of a sudden you're starting over from square one, and everybody is just that much better. The speed of play is faster. The quality of players is better. The All of a sudden you're not the best player in the field anymore. You have to figure out, how to help when you're not, at your best. And I think every level, for me, going from college to professional, was like, I looked around and all of a sudden I was like, okay, I'm not the fastest guy anymore. Okay, I'm not the best, finisher anymore. I'm not the strongest guy anymore. And you have to figure out ways to help the team, or to perform even when that's not happening. And the speed of everything happening, and all of a sudden, like, you look around and in college you might say, oh, he's good, but he's just athletic, or he's good but he's just really technical. But then you get to the pro level and it's like, oh, no, 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 he's pretty athletic and he's pretty technical and he's very smart on the ball and he never turns it over and he's a good tackler, and like all these things, everybody's pretty good at everything. And I think that's the biggest thing to understand.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, I went through all the questions, and there's one that stood out for me, and it comes from Camille Almonte. You there, right?
Yeah, hi. My name is Camille. I'm currently playing in the DR. also playing with the U15 national team here. I had a question about MLS. You think it's worth to move to the US just to play for an MLS Next Academy?
Tough question. I don't think I can fully answer that for you because that's not the path that I took. I played high school soccer, I played club soccer, and then I went to college and played. And so I don't exactly know how that MLS Next pathway works. If I had more experience with it, I would be able to tell you more and be confident with telling you. But honestly, I don't know. But I think everybody's path is different, and you know, if you're performing and if you're playing well, I think everybody can be found.
Thanks.
Okay, and Mandela also made a question about defending. I think Mandela is there, and I think he was eager to join the class because he was the first one on the waiting room. So Mandela, go ahead.
Afternoon, my name is Mandela. I had a question. What are some tips for defending? What are some tips that I could like? What are some tips that could improve my defense?
Good question. What position do you play?
I play left back.
Left back. Okay, outside back. Um, I think I think being aggressive is my number one thing. Understanding that you're a good player and you have protection behind you. You're not a center back. You have a center back behind you protecting you. So be aggressive. Um, my next thing would be communication with your left center back and with the left mid or left winger on your side. I think is really important. And then thirdly, I would say um, understanding if you're in a back four or back five, whatever you're in, being able to be connected with that four. Understanding when the left center back pinches in, you need to pinch in with him. If the left center back is over helping you, you can be more aggressive in pushing out to the winger you're defending. Things like that, I think are really important.
Okay, thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, there's a question from Alexandra Mejia. I don't know if she's there, but I think your answer is going to be very helpful for everyone. And it says, is it hard or difficult to be both a student and an athlete? And she says, is it possible to be good in both aspects?
Yes. Good question. I think absolutely yes. And something someone explained to me, so I won't take full credit, but I always say is like in college or in high school, college, whatever it is, there's three parts to the equation. It's academics, it's athletics, and it's social. And if one of the three lacks, then you're going to struggle. If you focus too much on your athletics and academics, and your social life is nothing, then all of a sudden, you're gonna feel drained and too tired, and you're not hanging out, not seeing your friends or enjoying your life. I think if you're really into your social life and your athletics, then all of a sudden, guess what? Your academics is going to struggle. You're not following through on your time management with your classes and stuff like that. So I think balancing those three things is really important. But I think finding a good balance of all three is something that's definitely doable. And I would say, if you are, a high schooler going into college, I would say ask the upperclassmen, ask older people on the team, or understand how they manage to um, manage their time or manage their life outside of maybe practice and stuff like that in order to make it work, because they're going through it just like you, but maybe they have a little more experience.
Yeah.
Um,
And
we just have
yeah,
time for two more questions, and then I have the closing question for you, which is
okay.
the one that I always ask, former student athletes. So yeah,
Okay.
you
Okay,
go.
I think I have one right here from Eduardo Garcia, and it's regarding mentality. So I want him to ask you that question. Eduardo, are you there?
Edu, parece que sí está ahí. I think he's there. Edu, are you there? Eduardo, unmute your mic.
He fell asleep.
No, he's there with his dad. Señor Mario.
I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, good. It's okay.
I want to ask, like, how do you feel when you play your first match, your first like professional match? That how the level feel when you play like in college, and after the professional?
Yeah, I think my first professional match was my I got subbed in on I made my debut the first game of the season, my rookie year. Um, Basically, I'll tell you a little story. I was on the bench. I was a defender on the bench, and it was the first game at Philadelphia. And 15 minutes into the game, one of our center backs got red carded. One of my good friends next to me on the bench goes, "Hey, Brandon, get ready." And I was like, "What are you talking about? Get ready?" I'm like, "I'm not going in. Like, there's no way." And he looked around. He goes, "Look around. Like, there's no defenders on the bench. It's just you." And so I looked around and I was like, "Crap, you're right." And so I was the only defender on the bench, and a center back gets red carded. Guess what? Looks like you might go in. So second half, I made my debut in maybe the 60th minute. uh, yeah, it was a surreal, opportunity and a surreal moment in my life because that's what I've been working toward, my whole life. So, yeah, it was a really cool experience, and I really enjoyed it. But that's just the start. Like that's not something to hang your hat on or to feel. You can feel good about it, of course, but like there's so much more that I was looking to build on and to play, and now I've you know, since then played over 200 games, I think. So yeah, I think it's something now that like, I look back on awesome, of course, but like, there were so many more pivotal moments, pivotal, stepping stones in my life. So yeah, it was a good experience.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go ahead.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
All good. Yep.
So basically, I have a couple questions for you. First one is, I know your story when you got drafted, and basically you were a striker, and then you got moved to a right back position. So first, how it happened? Because I know a coach told you to switch, but how did you approach it? Because it's not your position and you had to adapt. So that's one of the questions. And then the second question is,
Let
besides,
me answer. Let me answer the first one, and then we'll go to the second one.
all right,
Okay. Yeah, because the first one is deep for sure. I think it's tangible for anybody, for anybody doing anything in life. I think when I was initially told, I was basically a winger forward my whole life, growing up and playing and scoring goals and stuff like that. And then basically my junior, my senior year of college, my college coach was like, "Hey, look, if you want to go professional, and I think you have a chance to, you'll probably have to, play outside back, and that's just like how life, how the game works, and I think you could fit in really well at outside back." And I was like, "Dude, I'm a winger. I'm a scorer. Like that's not what I want to do." So I started thinking more and more about it, and when the time came to go to the college combine showcase that all the professional teams watch you at, they basically were like, "Okay, what position you want to play?" And I listened to my coach's advice, and I said, "Okay, I want to play outside back." And I went and played really good for a couple of days, and all of a sudden it was like my draft stock went up and up and up, and they were like, yeah, this guy might be the best outside back, coming out of the draft. And basically, me listening to my coach, listening to the advice, and taking that head on, and not taking it personal, but understanding he was looking out for the best in me. And so yeah, I took that advice, and the rest is history. I think it was a good move for me, and I think it's a perfect position for what I'm capable of doing.
awesome. Basically, the one who adapts is the one that survives. basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And last questions to close this, because I know you have to go, and we really appreciate your time, man. Outside of soccer, what was the best memory that you had in college?
Oof. Outside of soccer, the best moment I had in college. Man, there's probably two. There's probably two. One was there's this show College Game Day, and it's like it's a Saturday morning show where basically this crew of sports broadcasters go to the best football team in the or the who they rank the best football team in the country at that moment. And Western Michigan was at my junior year or my senior year? My junior year, I think. Western Michigan was the best um, college football team at the moment there, and I think it was really important. Like I was like I have to be there. I want to be there so much. So me and a bunch of my teammates, college teammates, went, and I think it was snowing. It's 6 a.m. standing in line waiting to get in, and it was like an unbelievable Saturday away from soccer, not thinking about soccer at all. And then the other moment was you know when I was drafted. I was 3.5 years done with school, and all my teammates were back home watching the draft. And I got this video of all my teammates watching the draft. I was in Philadelphia at the draft, at the actual event, but it was all my teammates surrounded a TV, and them watching me get drafted and them cheering and like being so excited for me. I thought that was a cool experience.
Man, that's great to hear, and I think uh, that's one of the main aspects that we try to really make sure the boys understand, and the girls from this group, is that it's, yeah, soccer is important, the athletics part is very important, but the memories that you make in college are something that you're not gonna be able to repeat, and you really want to enjoy those moments, outside of soccer. You really want to build those relationships. You really want to hang out with your friends and enjoy the college experience, not only think about, oh, I have to win on Saturday, and think about, yeah, I want to later on move to Norway, and I have a friend in Norway because I met him on the team, or I met him on the campus. So yeah, man, we just want to really uh, thank you for your time. We appreciate everything that you do, that you have done for us with Aspiras as well. You're a role model for us. We really admire you, and I think that you now got like 50 more fans, 50 more followers on IG. So we will be following your games, and we hope you have a really good season. Yeah, thank you again for your time, man. Have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say, like, at the end of the day, I enjoy all that you've done for all of us, and I enjoy whenever I get a chance to give back and to pass along knowledge to the next generation, because I think that's really important. That's one of my life missions, is to continue to pass knowledge on to the next generation, to help people that want to be helped. And I think obviously, everybody's spending an hour or 45 minutes here tonight. You want you're looking forward to something. You're trying to take a little piece of advice here or there. So I think that's really important. I'm really big on all of you guys for sitting in and listening to me ramble on. But no, it's awesome. Really appreciate it, and wish all the best for you guys.
Thanks, man. We really appreciate it. Have a great night. See you.
Appreciate it. See you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.